Welcome to English Easy Hub. Join us as we ignite the flames of your English learning journey together.
Please subscribe to watch and embark on your English learning journey. Don't miss out on the exciting content. In this conversation, Andy seeks advice from his teacher on whether listening to the news can enhance his English speaking skills, and if so, how he can use it effectively. His teacher provides a structured approach, emphasizing active engagement with news content through shadowing, summarizing, recording, and discussing it with others. The conversation explores practical methods to turn passive listening into active speaking practice, focusing on techniques to build confidence, vocabulary, and fluency over time. This step-by-step guidance aims to help Andy make the most of listening to news as a language learning tool.
Hi, teacher. I was thinking about ways to improve my spoken English, and I heard that listening to the news could help. Do you think it's effective, or is there something else I should try?
That's a great question, Andy. Listening to news can indeed be very helpful because it exposes you to clear, structured language, formal vocabulary, and even different accents. But the key is to approach it actively rather than passively. Just listening won't be enough to improve your speaking. Do you understand what I mean by active listening?
I think so. You mean that I need to do something with what I'm hearing, right? Not just let it go in one ear and out the other. But how should I approach it to make it more active? Should I take notes, or even try speaking out loud as I listen?
Exactly. Taking notes can be helpful, especially to capture new vocabulary or phrases. But an even more powerful technique is called shadowing. It's where you listen to a short section of the news and then repeat it out loud, mimicking the speaker's pronunciation, speed, and intonation as closely as possible. This allows you to practice naturally. Have you ever tried shadowing before?
Not really. I've heard of it, but it sounds challenging. News anchors talk so fast, so I feel like I'd have a hard time keeping up. Do you think there's a way to make shadowing easier for someone who's just starting out?
Absolutely, Andy. Many news platforms actually allow you to adjust playback speed, so you could slow down the audio to a pace that's comfortable for you. Also, start with small segments, maybe a headline or a short story, rather than the full report. The idea is to build confidence bit by bit without feeling overwhelmed. Does that seem more manageable?
Yes, I think so. Breaking it down into shorter pieces sounds like a good plan. But sometimes, even when I slow down the audio, I struggle with understanding certain parts. The vocabulary in the news can be complicated, especially for topics like politics or economics.
That's a valid concern. News can be dense, especially with more formal or technical language. But don't worry if you don't understand every word at first. Try to focus on grasping the general idea. For unfamiliar words, you could jot them down to look up later. Also, consider starting with news resources designed for English learners, like BBC Learning English. This way, you can build up vocabulary without getting too overwhelmed. Does that sound like a practical solution?
Yes, I think that would help a lot. I feel like I'd stay motivated if I could understand more of what's being said. Would it also be useful if I tried summarizing what I hear afterward? I've read that summarizing can help with comprehension, but I'm not sure if it would improve my speaking.
Excellent idea, Andy. Summarizing is a fantastic way to reinforce what you've heard. Try to rephrase the story in your own words. It's great for practicing sentence structure, vocabulary, and fluency. You could even record yourself summarizing. Listening back to your recordings lets you hear your progress over time and identify areas to improve, like pronunciation or pace. Do you think you'd feel comfortable with that?
Recording myself might feel a little strange at first, but I can see how it would help. I could track my progress and figure out what needs work. Should I just focus on repeating vocabulary, or should I try to go deeper into the topic of the news?
Good question. Start with vocabulary, but try to add your own thoughts on the topic. After summarizing the news, you might ask yourself questions like, why did this happen? Or how do I feel about it? Reflecting on the content helps you to use English naturally while engaging with the topic. It also encourages you to think critically in English, which strengthens your fluency. How do you feel about adding that extra layer?
I think I can give it a try. Asking myself questions makes it feel more like a conversation, which might help me connect ideas in English. Speaking of conversations, do you think I should also try discussing what I hear with others, or would practicing alone be enough?
Discussing the news with others is actually one of the best ways to improve. When you talk about news stories with someone, you're challenged to think quickly and organize your thoughts in real time. Maybe you could share one news story per day with a friend, a language partner, or even a teacher. This will not only reinforce the vocabulary you're learning, but also build your confidence. Would you feel comfortable with that approach?
Yes, I think so. Discussing one story a day sounds like a great way to keep myself motivated and engaged. But I'm not sure what kind of news to start with. Some topics feel way too complicated for me right now.
That's a smart question, Andy. Start with topics you find interesting or that you're somewhat familiar with, like technology, sports, or entertainment. These are usually easier to discuss, and they'll help you feel more comfortable. As you build confidence, you can try more complex topics like world news or global issues. Remember, it's all about taking small, steady steps. Does that sound reasonable?
Definitely. Starting with things I enjoy will make the process feel less intimidating. I feel like I have a plan now. So, to sum up, I'll start with short segments, focus on shadowing, take notes, try recording myself, and even share a story with someone daily. Did I miss anything?
That's an excellent plan. The only thing I'd add is to be consistent. Engage with the news every day, even if it's just for a few minutes. Repeating segments or revisiting challenging topics can also help deepen your understanding and confidence. And don't be afraid to experiment. How are you feeling about it all now?
I feel a lot more confident. I'm excited to start, especially with the shadowing and recording parts. Your advice really helped me see a clear path forward. Thank you so much for guiding me, teacher.
You're very welcome. Andy, I'm thrilled to hear you're feeling motivated. Remember, language learning is a journey, and it's wonderful to see you taking these active steps. Keep experimenting, stay curious, and enjoy the process. Let me know if you need any guidance along the way.
I will, teacher. Actually, one last thing, how long do you think I should practice each day to see noticeable improvement? I don't want to overdo it but also want to make steady progress.
Great question. Aim for 20 to 30 minutes a day, if possible. This can include listening, shadowing, summarizing, and discussing. Short, consistent practice is often more effective than long, infrequent sessions because it keeps your mind engaged without feeling like a chore. You can gradually increase the time as you get more comfortable. Does that seem reasonable?
Yes, I think that's manageable. I can start with 20 minutes and build from there. Thank you for breaking it down so clearly. I feel like I have all the tools I need now.
I'm glad to hear that, Andy. Remember, it's about progress, not perfection. Take it one step at a time and celebrate small wins. I'm excited to see how far you'll go with this approach.
That's really helpful advice, teacher. I'll start small and try to stay consistent. Just one last question, how will I know if I'm actually improving? Sometimes it's hard to notice progress, especially with speaking.
That's a common feeling, Andy. One way to measure your improvement is by tracking small goals. For instance, If you're recording yourself, listen to older recordings every couple of weeks to see if you're sounding more natural or if certain words are getting easier to pronounce. Another way is to notice if understanding and summarizing news topics is taking less effort over time. Even little changes show you're making progress. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Checking my progress every couple of weeks sounds like a great idea. It'll keep me motivated. Thank you so much for all your advice and encouragement, teacher. I'm ready to get started, and I'll keep you updated on how it goes.
That sounds wonderful. Andy, I can't wait to hear about your progress. Keep practicing, stay patient with yourself, and remember that each small step adds up. You're on a great path. Enjoy every part of the journey, and let me know if you need any more guidance along the way.
In the end, Andy gains a comprehensive action plan to improve his spoken English, with an emphasis on consistency, measurable progress, and setting realistic goals. His teacher's suggestions to revisit old recordings, track improvements, and gradually build confidence by starting with manageable segments create a sustainable and motivational approach. This structured practice will allow Andy to transform his news listening habits into powerful speaking exercises, guiding him toward fluency and making his language learning journey both effective and rewarding.
Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share to keep the English learning journey alive.